Really, to engage in something that is going to change you and move you in a direction of spiritual development, it has to be bigger than you are. It has to, in effect, become inconvenient at some point. So the sitting practice becomes a little bit difficult, not very comfortable, you don't really want to do it, but you do it because that is the method.
We become part of a path of practice to receive the help and support that has to offer. And if we're the biggest thing there, then it's not going to be of much support to us. And when we need
it's
it...
It's just a support to your neurosis.
Yeah. So, in a sense, we enter into something that's bigger than us and, as Ngakma Nor'dzin says, does become inconvenient. But when we take refuge and when we take vows, it's important to take that on knowing that they will be inconvenient at some stage, and not to kid ourselves that things are necessarily going to be plain sailing. Sometimes vows and commitments, to my mind, look a bit like the barriers at the side of the motorway. So if you're falling asleep at the wheel, they will gently but firmly, and with nasty scraping noises, push you back on to the motorway and hopefully wake you up. And
without hitting anyone else.
And our vows and refuge commitments are there. If we were completely realised, we'd never bump into our vows. If we're not realised, then occasionally we do bump into our vows and take notice and put ourselves back on the road again.
I think Buddhism's a bit like cooking. That you're given a recipe, you're told what the fruit or the product of that recipe is going to be, and then you just try and cook it. And you put the ingredients in, and you produce the results, and you take it to your teacher, and your teacher says, not quite right, you need just a little bit more sugar. So you take it away, you gauge the method again, you cook it again, take it to your teacher. No, this time you need just a little bit more spice or whatever. Now, if you haven't got the teacher or the lineage there to actually say what you've produced is nice, but it's not actually what you were what the recipe is aiming at. If you haven't got that person who is bigger than you, who can look at that, who's outside of your own frame of reference, then you might think that the very first time you cook the cake, what you've got is what was intended by the recipe. You can never actually know whether that cake tastes like the person who wrote the recipe intended. But if you've got somebody who is created that recipe or has received transmission of that recipe down the generations, tasted it from a master, tasted it from the next master, and so on, then they can say exactly how it should taste, and they can tell you how it's not quite right.